Hey guys, Drifter here. Elon Musk has officially taken over as CEO of Twitter, and his first act is to tweet out, "The bird is freed." And that's absolutely true. Twitter is soon going to be free from everything if you consider death to be the ultimate freedom and release. The app in transition is already having major problems. This is to be expected. And today we're going to be doing a deep dive on what makes Twitter work. And trust me, this is something I know about. I am super active on Twitter, posting over 13,000 videos on the platform in just the last 3 years. Just look how many videos I've got. It's insane. So I have a good perspective on which of Elon's ideas will be beneficial for the platform and which of them will be detrimental to the platform. And yes, we will talk about the political stuff near the end of the video. The main focus today is on advertisers. Twitter is currently the smallest of all the Western social media companies. It is truly the baby in the group compared to Alphabet or Facebook. It has about 250 million monthly active users. How many of those are real? We're not entirely sure. Most of them are from the US and other English-speaking countries, UK, Canada, Australia. Twitter is significantly less popular outside of the English-speaking world. And uniquely, it's populated very heavily by millennial and Gen X adults. TikTok and Instagram and stuff is very heavily toward teens and young adults. Gen Z would be young adults now. And Facebook and YouTube and stuff is more heavily skewed toward boomers and older adults. Twitter is kind of we'll call it the millennial platform for now. Unfortunately, Twitter is also just as negative in profit as most millennials are in their total net worth after taking out student loans, because Twitter loses money almost every single quarter, despite having a $5 billion revenue stream. Yes, they've posted profits on some quarters, and in 2021, they managed to lose only $221 million, which is their smallest loss in a very long time. But the point being that Twitter doesn't make a lot of money. It doesn't make a lot of profit, and its user base is relatively small compared to Facebook or anything Google owns. It also makes 92% of its revenue from advertisers, which is a very important fact that we're going to dig into later. The company has, for the last decade or so, operated on the standard Silicon Valley model of hype trading to drive up the share price before selling to somebody else and just dipping. The platform has constantly needed investment money. It's constantly needed to go public and get that revenue, of course, from actual retail investors like me and you buying stocks at home. And the business model, like Netflix, like Facebook, like everything, is all about scaling into the future. It's about infinite growth. It's about, oh, we've got 250 million active users now and we're losing money, but in 10 years it might be 500 million and we could be profitable. Or once we hit max growth, then we find out how to monetize. And they just constantly need more and more money flowing in. One of the reasons for this, especially recently, is like most American companies, it's also trying to compete with TikTok, despite the fact that TikTok is literally owned by the Chinese government and is essentially a giant piece of spyware that doesn't have to turn a profit. They've still decided that TikTok has too many users and too much view time, so they're trying to cut into that market as well. So then the question would be, what is the value of Twitter? Why is Twitter so valuable? Why does Elon want it? Why are politicians on it? Why does anybody want to do with this baby platform that doesn't make a lot of money? Well, the simple reason is that Twitter is by far the most public-facing social media website. It's one where you can go read stuff from the White House. It's one where there's movie announcements made first. It's one where sports teams are tweeting all their big announcements and their pickups and changes. Twitter is the place where everything is happening in the public eye. Facebook, you have to be part of a group. You have to have a friend request. YouTube is very algorithmic based on your recommendations. TikTok is about who you follow. Twitter is one of the few platforms where I can just go to somebody that I don't even know and I've never talked to before and immediately reach out to them and send them a message in a public way, and everybody in the public can see that message. Because of that, it's constantly in the public eye. It has a ton of viral potential, and for better or worse, it's kind of like the official place to announce most things, which has a lot of value. So Elon bought an unprofitable company for more money than it's worth based on its potential future, with the idea of changing the platform, improving it, because their technology is pretty far behind, I'll let you know that, and changing it into a true free speech platform, because Twitter for a long time has been criticized for being very heavy-handed about what they consider misinformation, a lot of COVID-related stuff, a lot of election conspiracy theories. They will absolutely ban you for saying the N-word, among other things. And Elon says that that is too unfair, that the speech is too restrictive. And since Twitter operates in a public space, much like a public utility, even though it's a private company, that it should operate roughly under the legal free speech guidelines, which would allow a lot of those kind of things. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but for now, let's talk about possible sources of revenue for Twitter. Twitter is an unprofitable company. So immediately after purchasing the company, Elon has raised the idea of charging $8 per month for verification. It was initially $20. The feedback was outrageous. It's gone down to $8. That's sort of it's like a marketing thing. You set people's expectations high and then, oh, the real price, the sale price is only $8. You're getting such a great deal. And the idea behind this is multifaceted. Elon believes that there is sort of an elite blue checkmark group, a guardians of the conversation that control the platform, and that regular citizens should be able to be verified to prove that they're real people without having to be a famous celebrity. So anybody can be verified as a real person. In doing so, Twitter gets a non-advertising revenue stream. And very importantly, Twitter, like honestly, most platforms, has a massive bot problem. There are bots on every platform spamming and scamming, but those scammers are not likely to pay $8 in order to be able to do that before they get banned in a day or two. And even if they do, that $8 payment information is going to be recorded so they can block future payments, and Twitter just knows who's spamming. Now, in theory, that's a great idea. Everybody's going to get verified, Twitter isn't as dependent on advertisers, and bots are going to have a much harder time. But there are other consequences to this other than just the fact that people find it unpopular. Some companies and some botnets absolutely will pay the $8 to sign up and be verified and pretend to be real people and real accounts and really do things. They'll probably pay with fraudulent payment methods that bounce or are stolen or won't go through quite right, so it'll be difficult to find them. There's an issue of if everybody's verified, there'll be a ton of fake verified accounts. For example, if your name is LeBron James and you're the famous basketball player, you want that little blue check mark so that everybody knows that's you. But there's probably like 100,000 other people in the United States named LeBron James, and if they provide that driver's license and information and pay $8 per month, as far as Twitter is concerned, both of them are the real LeBron James because they are, but all that means is that people with the name LeBron James can make a spam account or a fake account or a parody account and get it verified just so long as that happens to be their real name, and it dilutes the value of the professional special blue checkmark account. This means more scams and more spams. And similarly, it's the next thing in my notes. When everybody's verified, it doesn't mean anything. When every single person on the platform is verified, the little blue badge has absolutely no meaning, which again means it's easier to scam people. So in my personal opinion, I feel it should be multi-tiered. I feel like verifying regular people so that you can tell them apart from bots and people that want that is a fantastic idea, but there still needs to be a tier above that to say, hey, this is Henry Cavill's official account. Hey, this is the real Marvel account. Otherwise, it's going to be like April Fools every single day, and it will be chaos. We're still focusing pretty hard on the unprofitability before we move into the advertiser section, which is the juicy one here. Layoffs began almost immediately at Twitter. The estimate right now is around 4,000 people laid off, and future estimates are around 75% of the workforce being laid off. Yay, that's a huge L. Like, I totally get that when companies get bought out and it changes hands and stuff, that it's normal for things like that to happen, but this is way beyond normal. This is like absolutely gutting the company. And there's also a rumor, it's not confirmed yet, that Elon stacked ranked Twitter engineers by lines of code written in the last year and fired the bottom certain percentage of them, which is, in theory, you're firing the lazy ones, but as this person on Twitter points out, that means he's probably gotten rid of anyone who worked on a particularly challenging aspect of the platform, performance, security, or reliability. So probably a lot of your senior DevOps guys are just totally gone, which is not going to be a good thing. Now, finally, the spicy part, the fun part of the video, the part that you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the policy changes, the advertisers, and political disputes. Almost immediately upon buying Twitter, Elon Musk announced that comedy is legal again on the platform. Maybe the PC police are going away. Maybe people are not likely to be banned for being as edgy. And he announced some upcoming changes to the moderation team, the moderation methods, and how they handle all of that. Yet no changes have rolled out yet. All that's coming in the future. People are just kind of generally mad at the idea to begin with because Twitter was really more the safe space social media platform. Twitter was a place that outright banned racist. It absolutely shut down election or COVID conspiracy misinformation, and they were very heavy-handed in that regard. So Elon himself, now that he owns it, has been having a little bit of fun sharing fake news. He replied to Hillary Clinton's tweet about Paul Pelosi being attacked with a news story that was Interesting, stating that Paul Pelosi was not attacked by a hammer, but rather it was a fight with his gay lover that he picked up at the bar. And the author of the article that he shared also believed that Hillary Clinton died and was replaced by a hologram and some other crazy stuff and other stories. But he did that specifically to show that you can post that now, which unfortunately is a very bad look for advertisers. So in the coming future, there's a very high possibility of certain high-profile bans being reversed, and a very high possibility that the handling of misinformation is going to be different, could be opposite of now, it could be red Twitter. And unfortunately, because of these possibilities, advertisers have already begun to drop in mass. Elon himself even tweeting about it and complaining about how all the advertisers are dropping even though nothing has changed. He blames activists that just don't like him or hate free speech are colluding to try to shut down the platform and make him lose money. So what's interesting about this is that Elon actually had a dispute on Twitter with one of the people that works at some massive advertising firm. His name is Lou Pascalis. He works with Formula One racing and does a metric ton of very high profile consulting work and worked at the advertising firms that worked with a lot of major corporations. Basically, let's see if I can find the tweet here. Lou Pascalis says, Elon, great chat yesterday. As you heard overwhelmingly from your senior advisors on the call, the issue concerning all of us is content moderation and its impact on, and in all caps, brand safety and suitability. You say you're committed to moderation, but you just laid off 75% of the moderation team. So then, Elon Musk blocked him. And that was the end of that. That was one of the big advertisers right there, or at least a very influential one. So they're having a very fun, high-profile public dispute, which kind of scares other advertisers. And his big concern is on that safety and suitability and that sort of reliability, because that's what Twitter currently provides to advertisers. That is its biggest selling point right now, is that Twitter is very safe, it is very clean, it is very wholesome. If you advertise there, it is very unlikely that your ads will show up on something unseemly. So, in response to this, Elon replies to another person requesting that he put out the names of advertisers that are dropping out. And then Elon says, let's see if I can find that article. Elon plans to go thermonuclear to name and shame all advertisers backing out of Twitter, which if you're an advertiser and you've got millions or billions to spend, it's probably not a good look when the head of the platform is threatening to publicly name and shame you and cause chaos in your company because you didn't give them money. So that's really rough. And he says a lot of it has to do with them hating free speech. No, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're not going to spend money on anything that's not basically rated PG. So in this aspect, I believe that Elon does not understand who the customer really is. The customer of Twitter is not us, the user. We are the products. If you are on Twitter using it, it works like every other social media company. It gathers information about you and delivers ads. You are the product. The customer is the advertisers. The advertisers are going to be the ones that give the money to buy access to you. So we've kind of got it in a little bit of a reverse here. And all of these things are going to scare advertisers away, which will cause it to make less money. Then, of course, there's this fun dispute with AOC, which I won't get into too much, but basically her Twitter stopped working for a little bit. She had no notifications and replies, blamed it on Elon Musk in a video, and he replied saying, I think it was a naked abuse of power, wink, wink, roughly, when this whole thing was probably nonsense. It was probably just the app farting for a few minutes and her looking for an excuse to be mad and him looking for an excuse to talk back to her. It's like literally when Rudy Giuliani would misspell things and then say that the Twitter app, that they hate him so much they hacked his profile and changed how he spelled stuff. It was very stupid. And then finally, at the end of the video, advertisers absolutely will not abide by unbanning certain unpopular people, like former presidents, or perhaps Alex Jones of all people. Those are very extreme examples, but speaking broadly, advertisers do not like to advertise on content associated with these individuals because it's unprofitable for a lot of reasons we'll get into very shortly. And if they come back on the platform, that'll scare away a few advertisers. It'll be a big deal. It'll make the platform a little more unpleasant, whatever. But the big one is that if Elon allows monetization of their content, especially if advertisers don't get the opportunity to opt out. If it's a dumb, blank, all ad fill platform where everybody's guaranteed to get ads, nobody's going to put ads on that particular content. It's going to be It's going to be like Adpocalypse 2.0. You remember the old YouTube Adpocalypse? It's going to be the Twitter Adpocalypse, and we'll just crater this company and cause it to lose even more money. Interesting, because Texas actually wrote a law demanding that social media companies under a certain number of users monetize content from anybody, and that not doing so was violation of Texas law. And that whole thing went all the way up to the Supreme Court before the Supreme Court shot it down. And here at the end of the video, I'll speak more on my personal opinions and experience, and there is a little bit of fact mixed into this as well. It's that a lot of people are very excited about this. Twitter is a very left-wing, very blue kind of platform, and what they want to see is that now that Elon's in charge, the platform gets hit with a big red wave. It gets redified. It's either more free and in the middle, or it's just a red bird, and instead of election misinformation getting suppressed, it's promoted. And the danger there is, and this is a hard fact that I've run into year after year with my personal advertising and dealing with companies and stuff, red content is not brand safe. On top of that, it's often very low value. Red viewers, or people that consume this type of political media very often, tend to not be high spenders with the exception of a few niche product categories, and advertising in those categories tends to bring backlash against you from the other side, so the value is very low. That's why a lot of people on YouTube that ran political channels, really of all sides of the spectrum, but it's worse on the right, even if they were allowed to monetize, even if they ran ads, the value of those ads have a tendency to be quite low because advertisers do not consider that audience to be valuable. So if advertisers cannot opt out of that low value advertising, they're just going to simply opt not to put money in whatsoever. And I know that's an unpleasant topic. That's the most political we're going to get here today, but it's true. It's honest to God true. Right-wing content, way less valuable on a view-by-view basis. So Twitter's going to have to deal with that problem too. And I don't know what the future holds for this platform. There's a chance it becomes a bastion of free speech. There's a chance advertisers pull out and it still stays a bastion of free speech. There's a chance it goes under. There's a chance that Elon does wild things and ratifies it. There's a chance that the $8 verification fee just works and is popular and everything's going to be fine, but I don't think so. I think basically this man bought a toy, he doesn't know how to play with it, and is eventually going to break it beyond repair within a year or two. So let's hope that I'm wrong. Let's hope that I can still keep posting my little videos on Twitter, making good money, and let's hope that it does turn into a bastion of free speech and advertisers stay, but only the future will tell. All right, it's Drifter from the future here. I keep having to make this video longer because more things keep happening. In the literal 1 day since I recorded this video and uploaded it, Elon Musk says that Twitter's monetization model can beat YouTube's both in higher CPMs and higher percentage revenue splits, and longer video monetization is going to be allowed. On top of that, Elon has promised monetization of image content, GIF content, text posts, basically any kind of content instead of just video. Then he banned Kathy Griffin on Twitter because she impersonated him and said a whole bunch of pretty vile things. Then he updated the impersonation policy to where the account has to be clearly labeled parody. And Ethan Klein from H3H3 Productions, being the type of person he is, could not resist this bait, changed his name to Elon Musk, and started tweeting out a ton of crazy stuff about the Epstein Express. And I believe he said that he followed the rule on parody post and labeled his account a parody account and still got banned anyway. And now all those workers I talked about being fired, while Twitter's asking some of them to come back to work. Some employees are now needed or were laid off by mistake. Go figure. So, and by the time I even render this edition and add this to YouTube and get it uploaded, the story will probably have changed again, and there will be more stuff to add to it, which is just, oh boy, I need a smoke.